Chapter 9 Queen Alice. However, there would be no harm, she thought, if asking if the game was over. Please, would you tell me, she began, looking timidly at the Red Queen. Speak when you're spoken to, the Queen sharply interrupted her. But if everybody obeyed that rule, said Alice, who had always been ready for a little argument, and if you only spoke when you were spoken to, and the other person always waited for you to begin, you would see nobody would ever say anything, so that ridiculous, cried the Queen. Why don't you see, child? Here she broke off with a frown, and after thinking for a minute, suddenly changed the subject of conversation. What do you mean by if you really are a queen? What right have you to call yourself so? You can't be a queen, you know, till you've passed the proper examination. And the sooner we begin it, the better. I only said if, poor Alice pleaded in a piteous tone. The two other queens looked at each other, and the Red Queen remarked with a little shudder, She says that only said if, but she said a great deal more than that, the White Queen moaned, wringing her hands. Ah, ever so much more than that. So you did, you know, the Red Queen said to Alice. Always speak the truth. Think before you speak, and write it down afterwards. Oh, hello there. I didn't see you guys come in. Welcome to Bitcoin Talk Show. I was just reading a little bit of Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. I got this great annotated Norton Critical Edition. It's got some essays in there. More than just a story, it's the Norton Critical Editions. But we fought the no internet. We fought the broken Zoom. We fought the hidden option Zoom this morning to come to you just before the afternoon on Bitcoin Talk Show. Let's try to share the screen. Let's see if that still works. Yeah, generally it works. Could be in full screen. I'd like that a little bit better. But here we are, giving a shot at the old Zoom, trying it out. The new technologies here. We're on a stream key. What they did to us, it was pretty great this morning. They hid the option to enter a custom stream key. So you had to go into the settings. You had to enable that. Then you could enter in your custom stream key, and I could use that because whatever they use, YouTube Live, Google Live, whatever it is that worked fine yesterday is completely broken today. So thanks for joining us at a slightly later time. Maybe it'll be fun to check out the old noon hour. Certainly I'm getting hungry, though. It's got to be lunchtime somewhere. The price of Bitcoin is up 0.73% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 10,699, a high of 10,722, and a low of 10,408. If you look at the price, it looks like it took off somewhere around 9 a.m. yesterday. Seems like the time of something else. Might have been a Bitcoin talk show, something like that. But then as you see, the Bitcoin price predictor ball did predict that the price would go up. That's $1 for 9,347 Satoshis. That's a sweet deal. Let's go ahead and check in with the Bitcoin predictor ball. We're moving that to the front of the show. We know this is the most important part of the show, and this is what you come here for. We're going back to full screen. Here it is, Bitcoin predictor ball, only at the World Crypto Network. This is unique. If anyone steals it, it's an imitation. It's fake. Here it is. We're going to ask it, will the price of Bitcoin be higher? Signs point to yes. Signs point to yes. We have the second bullish price prediction from the ball. Signs point to yes. Let's check out what's going on in the Bitcoin news today. Bitcoin price now in early phase of the next bull cycle. Analysts say, well, of course, analysts say that. The Magic 8 Ball says that. The Bitcoin price predictor says that. We have talked to the ultimate analyst, and the price has come back positive. They say in its latest move upward, prefers to stabilize, primed for a fresh bull market, la-di-da-di-da, and that the altcoins miss the chance to embrace gains. But wait a minute. Nasty malware uses Bitcoin blockchain to keep itself alive. Keep itself alive. That's a Queen song. All right. I want this one. There we go. All right. Attackers transfer Bitcoin with Electrum to keep Glubteba alive. It's a malvertising attack. So it sounds pretty cool. The dropper will flood the target with various rootkits, backdoors, and other nasties taken from GitHub. It does the usual stuff like check for antivirus programs, add malicious firewall rules, as well as include itself in Defender whitelists. Most notably, however, is that this malware uses Bitcoin to automatically update, ensuring that it runs smoothly even if antivirus software blocks its connection to remote CNC servers run by the attackers. Very interesting. How does it use Bitcoin to automatically update? It will first send Bitcoin transactions via the Electrum Bitcoin wallet, which had been threatened by a phishing campaign. The malware, which has been programmed with a hard-coded script hash string, will then make its way through a public list of Electrum servers to find every transaction that was made by the attacker. Buried in those transactions in the seemingly innocent op return data, which contains a encrypted CNC domain. The script hash string is then used to decrypt that data. So basically, it sounds like it stores information about the computer, maybe even a way to control the computer in the op return of the Bitcoin transaction. So by having a small amount of Bitcoin on the machine, using the Electrum wallet on the machine, the hacked machine reports to the Bitcoin blockchain in an encrypted note that then allows the hackers to control and find out where their servers are. So sounds like a great virus out there. Watch out for Glubteba, blockchain Bitcoin virus. Number of Bitcoin addresses with at least 10 Bitcoins reaches all-time high. Well, that's nice for them. Must be nice for them. So we're just looking at the addresses. This could mean that some kind of exchange started keeping their Bitcoins in 10 Bitcoin stacks. It could mean some Zappo or Coinbase or some kind of exchange. Someone's just storing them this way in a different style. But obviously, you could just say that there's a lot more Bitcoin whales than they used to if you call someone with 10 Bitcoins a whale, which I'm sure for people that started early and once used to have hundreds of Bitcoins or thousands of Bitcoins are now no doubt laughing at these little 10 Bitcoin whales. But hey, nice work if you can get it. Bitcoin dominance rose significantly over the last 3 months. Bitcoin has outperformed the altcoin market over the last 3 months as Bitcoin dominates. Its share of the total crypto market cap has risen from 55% to its current level of 71%. Now, it's been very strange for me this whole time. I always thought that Bitcoin was dominant and was the only dominant cryptocurrency. We kind of let the altcoins pass us by and all of the great wealth and values because the whole time it made no sense. Why would you use another network? Are you using the internet? Are you using internet 2? You have to ask yourself, like, which internet are you using? And I'm using Bitcoin, not Bitcoin 2, not Bitcoin 22. Altcoins may be ready to bounce as Bitcoin dominance peaks. I love this because you have a bunch of stories saying one thing, then you have another story saying the other thing. It's just like the charting. Everybody except for the ball hedges. The ball speaks the truth. Do you want to ask the ball on altcoins? This is kind of breaking out of the box. We've only asked the ball about Bitcoins. It is officially a Bitcoin ball, which is very cool. But let's give it a try. Will the altcoins rebound? Will there be an alt season? We are asking the Bitcoin predictor ball about altcoins. As everyone knows, this sticker gives it all power. Here we go. Yes, definitely. I wish I could lie, but the ball has spoken. The price of Bitcoin will go up, and there will be an altcoin season. The ball is very wise. It doesn't give you what you want to hear, it gives you what the ball delivers. Team Satoshi is running again, this time for Bitcoin pioneer Hal Finney. And I really like this story. It's a great story. They're having kind of a race. Team Satoshi has been running for Hal Finney. They completed an 11-mile run. They're competing lots of other runs. For those of you who don't know, Hal Finney, an early Bitcoin pioneer, one of the great early Bitcoiners who helped Satoshi back in the day and helped test out Bitcoin, unfortunately stricken by ALS and eventually passed away, or had his head frozen or something like that. But Hal used to like to run. He was a runner. He used to like to do 5Ks and 10Ks. And in his honor, they're going to run for Hal as a Team Satoshi. So very cool story. And shout out to Team Satoshi. Great work. Will China take Bitcoin to $20,000? I hope they take Bitcoin anywhere. I hope they take it to a dance or a nice dinner, or the kind of things that a girl like Bitcoin needs and demands. So once again, they're worried about Bitcoin. They're worried about China. We've been talking about China and Bitcoin for years and years and years now. But so it goes. They generally, what's happened is China has tried to fight Bitcoin. They tried to ignore Bitcoin. Now they're trying to copy Bitcoin. Maybe the new China coin, the official endorsement of the People's Bank of China, will help the Bitcoin price rise. Maybe it'll help the Bitcoin price fall. No one will use Bitcoin anymore. They're all going to use China coin, not going to use Bitcoin. I'm not sure about that. It is an interesting idea. We'll see if China can finally do some good for us after all their banning and banning and banning and unbanning of Bitcoin. And finally, the world's most important toothbrush from Bloomberg, Bitcoin's narrowing price trading range, seen as suggesting a push higher. But you already know that the push higher worked. We've got the magic 8-ball right here, and it's great. Finally, we've got a startup. This startup lets cryptocurrency firms know when terrorists are trying to raise money. And once again, it's kind of an idea that libertarians wouldn't like, but I imagine they made a blacklist of evil Bitcoin addresses, maybe when they scan them off of the terrorist posters or videos or internet chat rooms or wherever they're trading these codes and so on and so forth. And then they make a big blacklist of these terrorist codes and they distribute them. It's the same old thing. If they do a perfect job, it's going to work. If they do a less than perfect job, people are going to get caught up in it. And if you're subscribed to the We Don't Send Bitcoin to Terrorist watch list, you might also be subscribed to the We Don't Send to Political People, or We Don't Send to the company that this company, you can't be critical of this company, so on and forth. There's always a problem with a blacklist, but it sounds like they're making a blacklist and they're passing it around, which of course for a company like, if you think about Coinbase or anything like that, just to be responsible, they'd have to have a department where they're like, okay, this address was used in an Al Qaeda flyer. We're not going to let them collect money, not with Coinbase, at least. Say what you want. They have to do that for legal liability reasons. So I imagine a startup like this would be incredibly valuable to Coinbase and other people who have to have this kind of censorship over their use of the Bitcoin network. Of course, everyone's raising their hands in the audience. I can see you all saying, like, oh, but if they have a censored version of Bitcoin, then there'll be another website that will start that'll be maybe open source and free and distributed and better, and that'll provide a competition for the censored version of Bitcoin. So interesting stuff. And finally, I keep saying and finally, but Van X, Solid X, to offer a limited version of a Bitcoin exchange traded fund. So we're finally getting an ETF, but we're getting a limited version because we keep having trouble getting it approved by the regulators. Paul Vigna wrote the article. Of course, we can't read it because it's on the Fox Street Journal and they're not a part of the internet. But shout out to Paul Vigna. I'm sure it's a great article. All of a sudden, the price of Bitcoin driving up. We're over 90% towards our goal. We're at 90.6% towards our goal. We've received 33 donations. We've raised almost $1,357 towards our goal of $1,497. Thanks to our most recent donor, anonymous Lightning donor, who sent 49,446 Satoshis. Before that, we had 164,000, 348,000, and 345,000. So thanks so much to everyone who's donated to our fundraiser, helped us get this new board. You can check out the pictures on Twitter. And we're going to go and open this up to chats and to calls. If you guys like to give us a call, even today, I'm just going to share the Zoom information in the chat, see if that works. Oh, good. It's a good big mishmash of text. But here you could join the Zoom meeting. Let's see if I put a space in there. I put a space in there. You could use what they call one tap mobile, and you could call us in Denver, New York. We've got local phone numbers, or you could dial by your location. We've got a live phone number. We've got all kinds of Zoom things. It's a mishmash of copy and paste. They're not doing great at including break line characters or something like that. But we are here live on the World Crypto Network, and you could join us. Or you can call us on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. I got the Skype open. I even got the phone number thing open. Let me open that too. We'll just open all the accounts here. And we're also going to talk to you here in the chat. So you could call us on the phone at 1-518-600-1949. Let's see what's going on. Checking out the Bitcoin price. Get a nice refresh going. Woo, it's all kind of wigglies and up and down. A lot happening in the price of Bitcoin today, huh? Still, the ball has chosen up, and you can see there's nothing but up. Looks like a big parabolic curve. We call that a Dixie Whistler. That's a Dixie Whistler formation. And we've got some great new videos for you on the World Crypto Network. Check them out. Just today, we've got a brand new interview with Pavel Rusnik, Stick, a legendary creator of Trezor. Do you like your Trezor? Well, it turns out that Stick and Slush work together to make the Trezors. And we've got all the story right here about it on Proof of Work, where we also talk about his first computer and how he got into computing. It's a very cool interview. You can check that out. We've also got one of our little clip videos. What was Adam Back's first computer? Proof of Work exclusive. And if you like the short clip, check out the longer video. Also, if you're into Mad Bitcoins videos, I see a lot of confusion out there. The Mad Bitcoins people don't know about the World Crypto Network. The World Crypto Network people don't know about the know about Mad Bitcoins. But we've got a couple of different YouTube channels in case you haven't heard. But I've been doing lots of videos on World Crypto Network. That's where you are right now. I took a break from doing Mad Bitcoins videos, but I did 3 or 4 recently, trying to get back into the habit of it. And just trying to keep it going. You know, Mad Bitcoins is a dying art form. Not everyone is performing as Mad Bitcoins these days. So also you can check us out on Twitter at Mad Bitcoins. That's where we share the link of this show. About 30% of our traffic comes from Twitter. The rest comes from YouTube, basically. If you give us a thumbs up and a share, if other people find these shows, if you comment on them, discuss with other people, basically show YouTube that this is a good video and should be escalated. YouTube will show it to other people and they'll join the show and maybe they'll call in live. If you're afraid to call in live, you can call in live with a question or a comment. You can agree with something, you can disagree. We had a little bit of red meat out there in this idea that you could monitor the blockchain and that you could know if the terrorists were on it. I'm sure you guys want to talk about that. Come and give me the libertarian view there. Hundreds of people indicted. And we're checking it out. Looks like we did get another donation just today, I think, right now. Thanks so much to donor 186,562 Satoshis. Very cool. They're asking in the chat, which Lightning Network would I recommend? Right now, I've had very limited experience with Lightning Network. Mainly, I'm using, I don't even remember what it's called. What's that transaction-y thing? I don't know. There's some website that you go to and they basically take Lightning for you in the back end. This is not a great solution right now. I'm not 100% pleased with the solution, but this is a working solution for me right now. I would suggest that. That gets you started really fast. That way you can take Lightning. You can hook it up to Tallycoin. I think it's called Open Node, something like that. They're going to get mad at me. I don't remember their name right now, but they're a very cool service, and I appreciate that. That's how I'm doing Lightning. Otherwise, I heard good things about Zap. All right, we're going to give this a try here. The audio is going to work. Maybe. Let's see. First of all, you can't hear me now, but that's normal. Okay, so first I have to get into the program because it doesn't let you choose which audio till you have a phone call. Oh, it's only showing two options. Is it Bluetoothing? No, let's always Bluetooth turned off. Okay, so that's convenient. Turn Bluetooth back on and connect Bluetooth to the board. All right. Are you guys following along at home? This is a good way to do it. All right, let's try one more time. We've got the Bluetooth caller. Are you with us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
All right, I can hear you. It's coming out of one channel for some reason, so that's a new function. But go ahead. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You got a question or a comment about Bitcoin today?
Yeah, this is Rocky from California, and I think you were talking about Tip and Me was the name of the service you couldn't think of.
Oh, Tipping Me is a good one. I've heard of Tipping Me, but I think it was Open Node or something like that, or
Oh, okay.
Open Nodes, because it's
Oh, I
kind
thought
of
you meant like the one that connected with like Twitter and YouTube. It makes a button right on there for you.
That does sound great. No, but this is more like a back end service where I can accept Lightning without having to run a node or without having to know how to run a node or any of those things. So it's more like it replaces the need for you to run a node. But yeah, tipping's
Yeah,
awesome.
Tip and Me doesn't with Tip and Me you don't have to run a node. Or there's another one called Bottle.
Very cool. It's good to see there's more options out there and different ways to get people into Lightning. They're saying in the chat that Claire is cool. They like that one. They also like one I haven't heard of called Breeze, Breez. So try that out. I know a problem I had for a long time is a lot of these wallets were on Android, and I don't have an Android. Caller, do you have an Android phone or Apple? Have you tried out any of these Lightning wallets?
Yes, I have an Android phone and I have used Eclair, and that works very well.
Very cool. I think they're getting there on Apple wallets. I know the Zap wallet was in beta, and I was on the beta list for a while, and I think it's out. And I don't know if you have to run a server. For a while, you had to go to some website and start like a droplet server, and you had this very small server, and you would connect to it, and that's great for you and I, or a hobbyist, or somebody that has some free time. But a normal person, that's going to be pretty rough. They just want to download the app and start paying people right away.
Yeah. But what I really wanted to talk about was Pastor Phil, who is a Bitcoiner. He's been into Bitcoin since, I believe, 2013 or 14. And he got hacked. His Trezor wallet got hacked, and he lost all of his Bitcoin. Maybe you could bring up the website, bitcoinstolen.com, for everyone to see. And there's a story there about him. He's just a really nice guy. He's retired. He's 68 years old. And he's been just saving little tiny amounts of Bitcoin, just buying tiny amounts whenever he can, and added it to his hardware wallet. At first, he had it wasn't a very popular hardware wallet. I can't think of the name right now. The Keep Key. And he had issues with that. And then he eventually went to the Trezor. And then I believe what happened to him, it happened about a year ago, but he suffered a DNS poisoning or DNS hijacking attack, if you know what that is.
Hmm. So they DNS poisoning. So he thought he was going to one website, but he was really going to another website?
Yes. Yeah, I see it looks like they're having problems finding it. If you just, in the address bar, just type in bitcoinstolen.com. There it is. Nope, that's Bitcoin to the Moon is talking about it.
Yeah, I
That's
found
not
an
the
article
official.
about it. I tried the Bitcoin stolen. I mean, it's a pretty common name. I mean, sure, bitcoinstolen.com.
Yes. It's bitcoinstolen.com. Should take you to the official Pastor Phil
okay,
website.
that's good. Okay, the other one was like some kind of spam website, and I was like, oh no, I went to the wrong address. I'm gonna have my stuff stolen live on TV. It's not that would not be the best. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's see.
So he spent his whole life helping people. He also took in these children who had, disabilities. And he kind of did like foster care for them, and then he actually adopted two of them. And one of them just needed like 24-hour a day care. Him and his wife took care of this kid, and he's just such a giving guy. He's a retired pastor. He is working part-time now. He's 68 years old, but over many years, he with a much cheaper Bitcoin price, he was able to save up 14 Bitcoin. But being 68 years old and with the price of Bitcoin now, not what it was 5-6 years ago, he's no way going to be able to get those Bitcoin back. So if people could just donate, whatever, $5, $10, $15, $100, whatever they can. If you click on that second link in the top black bar, it says family story. That's a story that a friend of his wrote about him. And it's not very long. It's about 3 screens of text. And if you read through that, you'll really get a sense of who this guy is. But he really deserves to get his Bitcoin back. I mean, I've had people contact me about losing their Bitcoin, all sorts of different amounts, anywhere from like 10 Bitcoin to 36 Bitcoin, which is always tragic when people lose their Bitcoin. But Pastor Phil is a special case. I mean, this guy, he's really a, he's just a living saint, this guy. So it's really extra tragic.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and put the tally coin up on the screen right now, and if anyone wants to donate to Pastor Phil, I think it would be great. I mean, obviously, it's such a large loss like that. Most people don't have that much Bitcoin, but maybe if we just had a goal to get him a 1 Bitcoin, giving him like if you wanted to donate a 0.1 or a 0.01, that would really help on the way to helping him recover some of this. And then it's just it's a sad but an unfortunate example of just how dangerous it can be with Bitcoin. How also you can be targeted. Sometimes you receive a message on some strange website or some strange chat room mentions Bitcoin. It's not a good thing. It's not and again for people that are you should be at your own risk. It sounds like this was a very sophisticated attack using a DNS redirect to trick him into thinking he was going to the right site. And again, for in the past, you might store all your Bitcoin on a single address on this, and you might decide to bring them into the network and to use your key. And it certainly is the most stressful point in any Bitcoiner's life. And it's very unfortunate that his went so wrong, and that while importing the key, his Bitcoin were stolen from him. If you maybe if anyone's an early Bitcoiner out there, you could send them to this or send them along to the bitcoinstolen.com website. So thanks so much, Rocky. That's an interesting story. Anything else going on you want to tell people about?
Well, I just wanted to talk a little bit about what happened just so it doesn't happen to anyone else. Go into a little more detail about what the DNS poisoning is, or DNS hijacking.
Sure, go ahead.
It's really not a problem with the Trezor wallet. It's the security of the internet, right? Or the DNS servers, which redirect your traffic by typing in a word like google.com. You don't really go to google.com, right? You go to those 4 numbers separated by periods, and that's the real address. So the DNS server just translates the google.com into the real address, which is just those sets of numbers. So if you could hack into one of these DNS servers that do that translation for you, you could send that traffic to a malicious site, and that's exactly what I think happened. So instead of when he typed in the trezorwallet.com or .io, the DNS was hacked to send him to the malicious site. Now, if he would have checked the address bar, he would have seen, the lock not being locked and red text up there saying not secure. But he never knew to look for that. So that's what everyone needs to look for in using the Trezor. You've got to look for that lock up at the top in the address bar. that lock is locked. And that probably would have saved him. But what it did once he got there was he got a notice saying that, he had to do a firmware update, which he did. And then it said to put in his seed words, which he did. And unfortunately so the site stole his seed words. So they got his Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. A lot of people just breeze through prompts these days. I do it myself when I'm installing a program or something like that. You just say next, 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 and people never stop to read the screen. So I know as a programmer, they're probably thinking, "Oh, we put a red bar at the top of the screen. It says warning. It says unsafe." I mean, the lock wasn't locked. I mean, there's a lot of keys, visual keys that they're putting out there, but especially if you're an older gentleman, or if you're just in a hurry, or if you're just like a lot of us and you just don't read these things. You just fly through them. It's very easy for that to happen, and it could happen to anybody. So hopefully everyone will donate, put it together out here, and also even if we can't raise it, just as an example to everyone else, that we need to be very careful and more careful, and especially I don't know that we can't say that it's not fair to say that older people are not responsible with cryptocurrency, but maybe all of us just need to be very careful, and maybe have a friend come over when we're going to import the keys, or talk to someone else, or try it with a smaller amount first. There's just a lot of ways to be careful to not let this happen. But of course, once it's happened, there's nothing we can do. So.
Yeah, and we did struggle a bit on how much to ask for. We decided on just going for the full amount. Of course, we probably won't ever reach it, but we didn't want to discourage anybody. If some whale came along and saw it and, had thousands and thousands of Bitcoin, where 14.2 Bitcoin would be nothing to him, we didn't want to discourage that situation. But we also don't want to discourage anyone from making any donation. Just like I said, 5, 10, 15, 20, $100, everything's appreciated.
That's great, Rocky, and thanks for letting us know about it. And be sure to call in later in the future. Let us know any updates, or maybe if we do attract a whale, maybe just putting the word out there. This show, that show, Twitter, the other shows, all these kind of things. Just keep letting people know, and keep tagging people in the tweets, and seeing if you can get some retweets that way.
Okay, Thomas. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks so much. And you can give us a call now on any of the numbers. You can call us on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word, or you can call us on any of the Zoom numbers that are down in the chat. We threw out the Zoom meeting link a little while ago. They're all offering in the chat that if you send them a picture of your seed, they will keep it safe for you. There's always very many safes available suddenly. They're also saying that you should buy a cold card, a different kind of a key system. And they're saying Mrs. Sheffield says the spoof site was just the first issue. The main thing is that he entered his seed. So yes, it is. Maybe it's just unfortunately, it's always kind of a failure in education. It's partially a failure in education. It's also partially a failure in students. The students want to learn really fast. They want to get into Bitcoin today. They don't have time to waste. They want to, upload it, download it, get their money, spend their money, save it, invest it, whatever. They're in a hurry, right? So they can't really take time for proper education. But then on the other side of it, you say, oh, well, something like Trezor, right? Trezor has a screen. All right, we got a donation for Phil. Thanks so much to our donor, 82,007 Satoshis. Just a little bit to get Phil going. And thanks for donating to Pastor Phil. We're just keeping the tally coin up on the screen right now. But what I was going to say is when Trezor or Ledger, or even my personal favorite right now, the Blockstream Green wallet on my phone, has you write down those seed words, nobody does a really good job of communicating it to you that those seed words are your money, and that there's not a password lock, there's not a pin lock, there's not a passphrase. There's just those words and your money. And the way I've been trying to intro people to Bitcoin today, it slows it down a little because we need a piece of paper and a pen, and no one has that. But if I can find a piece of paper and a pen, and a lot of times you can find that at a bar or a restaurant or somewhere like that, I go ahead and make them. If they want the free dollar from me, or maybe even a free $10 if I'm feeling generous, they have to install that Blockstream Green wallet, and they have to write down their words on a piece of paper. Too many times I know I've given dollars away to people, and they've had that wallet on their phone and they lost the username and password, or they had a wallet on the phone with no username and password, and the dollar just goes into it, just disappears. Too many times that's happened. If they write those words down, and they're pretty easy words, and most people can write them down properly, as difficult as it sounds, writing down 24 words perfectly in order, or whatever it is. If they write those words down, I explain to them that this dollar that I'm going to give them will be both on their phone and in the piece of paper. Now, hopefully, we're getting somewhere with starting to talk about how important that piece of paper is. And if I had one of my wallets here and I pulled out the piece of paper and showed it to you, it would be a race across the internet as people tried to type in the words. And we could do that for fun. I mean, I can set up a wallet and put $10 in there, and we'll have a scavenger hunt, and you guys can show me how fast you can type in words. But that's pretty much what you're doing anytime that you type your seed in. So a very dangerous thing for Phil to do, and a very disastrous thing, and very sad. So, but be sure to check that out. Thanks to Rocky for letting us know, and also shout out to the people helping Phil for using Tallycoin. Very cool use of Tallycoin. I mention it all the time. I don't have to. It's a free ad, but I just say tallyco.in. It's a great website. You bring your Bitcoin address, the public part. You give that to them. They help you raise money by giving you a thermometer and helping you track your donations. They can't never touch or take your donations. It's amazing. Tallyco.in. So it's great to see fundraising options like this, where before they would just have they just have an address and maybe a link to blockchain.info. Now we have this great Tallycoin that explains, allows them to put in details of the fundraiser. You can put in videos now. DJ Booth's really done a heck of a job with Tallycoin. So check that out. It says in the chat, Zaza sends BTC to a bitch address. Oh, you're going to lose it all that way. That's bad. They've also said people had problems getting hacked. He had money stolen at a Canadian exchange. Somebody was hacked by Mt. Gox. Hey, we had another donation. Guys are very generous. And again, Rocky is an old school Bitcoin YouTuber, so he does check out that webpage, does check out. Otherwise, we are just kind of donating money randomly to someone who called into the show. But I do believe it's a real story. I don't believe this is a fraud situation. But a very nice little donation there of 36,890 Satoshi. So thanks for helping Rocky and helping Pastor Phil out right here. It's a really nice story about Mr. Phil and his wife Linda, who adopted a severely handicapped young boy and brought him into their home to love him as one of their own. So they sound like really nice people, and it's a really sad thing that happened to them. Of course, if you're the hacker out there and you have a 14.2 Bitcoin that you took off some sucker, maybe you could think about sending them back. I know that's a long shot, but maybe you're a bored hacker listening to podcasts, and you're like, oh, yeah, that was a fun hack for me. It was 5 numbers and blah, blah, blah. But it's probably some gang somewhere around the world. They need the money for gang activities, so the money's not coming back. But you can give us a call right now on Bitcoin Talk Show. We'll try to keep the show going a little bit longer if there's interest. We're talking to the chat, seeing what's going on down there, and keeping an eye on Twitter. So also had the idea I might play some shows for you if you guys don't want to call in. We'll do a little recap here. Here's a little bit from the World Crypto Network. Check it out right here. It's a teaser for the Adam Back interview. This video is called, "What was Adam Back's first computer?" And it's loading, and it's loading, and it's loading. That's what you get for trying to start a video you didn't queue up first. All right, this time for sure. Oh no, now I made it big. That's really going to anger it. Why not even bigger? And so,
most familiar.
Here it is.
All right, we're going to start with everyone's favorite and most familiar question. What was your first computer?
So it was a ZX81, which a Sinclair ZX81, which I think was sold as a Timex ZX something in other countries, but basically it's a Z80 A 8-bit microprocessor with 1 kilobyte of base RAM and some ROM, and an optional memory expansion pack to a huge 16 kilobytes. It came with a basic interpreter in the ROM, and actually the Z80 CPU is kind of interesting because it has no multiply instruction. So you could only do addition and subtraction and bitwise ANDs and ORs and things like that. So
you had to add the multiplication into the line of the code. You had to.
Yeah, I mean, you have to write your own multiplier basically. Yeah. So I know there was some kind of 3D flight simulator game, and there were some articles in technology magazines at the time that the guy had rewritten his multiply algorithm like dozens of times to try and like make it just a little bit faster so that the animation would be smooth enough to be usable.
Yeah. That's an incredible difficulty.
So, I mean, the programming of games in that environment was really hand optimized assembly, very close to the limit of what the bare metal could do because the power was so weak, and there's no. The persistent storage of this device is like a cassette tape recorder with, I think, about 3,000 baud. I think it's a variable bit rate actually, because the zeros and ones take a different amount of time on the tape. So how the baud rate would depend on how many zeros versus ones there were in your binary. Yeah. But anyway, you could store things on the tape, so save your work and load games from cassette tape.
And so there it is, just a little bit of our interview with Dr. Adam Back, inventor of proof of work and Hashcash, and just all around nice guy. So you can check that out here on the World Crypto Network. We've got it right here on, we've got a bunch of those on the proof of work series. We've got a playlist of them. It's very cool. They're talking about the Spectrum in the chat. What an interesting computer it was. What I like about that video is how much Adam Back knows the details of his computer. It's been 20, let's say maybe 30 years, gosh, even 40 years. I don't know. It's been a long time since he had that computer, but he knows every spec of the RAM, every spec of how much space it had, what options it had, and what you could do with it. So be sure to check out that interview and all the other interviews we've got there on the World Crypto Network. We've got a new proof of work show coming out every Wednesday. Let's check in with our most recent proof of work show. We talked to Pavel Rusnik from Trezor, who helped invent the hardware wallet that, well, unfortunately didn't protect Pastor Phil, but it's not really the wallet's fault. It's a greater issue, but it is unfortunate. So let's check out just a little bit of the interview with Pavel, and we'll skip right here to this middle part. Let's see. And it's loading.
What was your first computer?
Okay. So I think it was year 1996. I was, how old? It was 13 years old.
Yeah.
And it was old 486 computer with 4 megabytes of RAM. And so it was a PC era already. I was probably too young to get Commodore or Amiga. So I started at the PC era, and my first contact with the computers was when I was around 9 or 10 years. There was a school. It was like late evening school for young children, where you could basically. The first year we were playing games all the time to get familiar with the computers, and my parents saw that probably this is the future and it's a very good idea to subscribe me to that. So after a few years, I think it was like 3 years, I got my first computer, because my father always said, I will buy you a violin, but first you have to learn how to play.
So that's so hard when you don't have it though. I was talking to Peter Todd, and he said he had typed up programs from magazines in the back of the magazines, but he didn't have a computer to test them on, and they would write paper, programs on paper.
Oh,
and then when he finally got the computer, I asked him, I was like, well, did you type those in? He's like, yeah, I did. The first thing I did as a kid was like type up all my old programs and see if they worked. And I was always told to do that with a paper, but it always seemed pointless to me. I was like, what's the point of this? But I had more computer access probably then, and if you could just test it on the computer, you would. But it's a neat start to like get started on programming that way.
Yeah.
So you went to the school after school and you finally got your first computer. What did you do? Did you just play games, or did you learn programming? What direction did you
go? Well, after these 3 years at this late evening school, there was an advanced course in programming.
Yeah.
But it was like, well, we were 13 years at the time. So it was like not really advanced stuff, but just playing with Turbo Pascal and trying to basically do very simple programming, like type your name, my name is Stick, and the computer responded, hello, Stick.
Hello, Stick.
I think everybody did that.
Oh, definitely.
And then later, because we were playing games a lot, then we tried to come up with our own games, which were like heavily inspired by the games we played, and we said, it's very hard. We wouldn't have the same good graphics, but it was pretty challenging. But I really had this drive for programming, and it got much better later during the high school when I had a skiing accident.
Oh no!
And I had to undergo a knee operation.
Wow.
And I stayed 6 months at home. But at least I had a lot of time to play with the computer, and my programming skills got much better during the 6 months.
6 months of at home leading to programming skills taking off. Great story from Stick there. Pavel Rusnik from Trezor, a friend of Slush. And Slush, of course, started the first Bitcoin mining pool, Slush Pool, and he later went on to start the company Trezor with Stick right here, who actually made the first, or at least one of the first, hardware wallets, something that you could actually store your Bitcoin on that was a physical device. And he had to actually go through all the troubles of manufacturing, and how do you make a plastic case, and how do you make a little chip, and how do you do all these little things. Whereas maybe the rest of us, or the programmers of those people, they just have to move words and numbers around on a screen. He had to actually make a physical world device. So it's an interesting and unique challenge that they have over at Trezor to make a unique device. And finally today we're going to play just maybe a little bit. Maybe we'll play the whole thing. I had a little mad Bitcoin story where I kind of recapped what's been happening in Bitcoin. So let's go ahead and check that out here on the World Crypto Network. And you can subscribe to the World Crypto Network or Mad Bitcoins on YouTube. You can even subscribe to both of them. It's amazing. Options. And we're loading, and we're loading, and no, we are still loading. But that's okay, because loading is good enough. Good morning, Bitcoin. Welcome to level 2. The state of Bitcoin today is one of flux. We have experienced massive waves of altcoins, ICOs, blockchains, and more. And yet, Bitcoin works. And even now is growing in market share. And might even have smart contracts with Miniscript. And now might even have scaling with a second layer solution called Lightning. And now might even be getting bigger, reaching new heights, almost as if it were preordained. It's as if the programmers worked together to solve the problems because the gravity of the Bitcoin network and the wealth involved demanded that those problems be solved. Not just the miners or the coders or the money, but the people. The people demanded the problem be solved, and the people chose the solution. UASF, user activated soft fork. The nodes voted and the network decided. The miners do not control good and bad. A flood of money has entered the scene as Ethereum and the ICOs led the way. See, everyone's complaining about the quality, but if I want the quality to be better, then it's going to slow down and it's going to be like, oh, you want the quality to be bigger. This is what you get. I should just let it go. Guys, how about 720? No? It's because it's some kind of streaming thing is using all of my bandwidth. Some kind of streaming thing like this show. Oh, well, you guys can check that out at Mad Bitcoins. I do a nice little introduction of things, and that's over at the Mad Bitcoins channel on YouTube. And we're running out of time for today. Check it out. You can see where I am right now, what I'm doing. There's the board. It's all happening. How cool is that? So check it out. Thanks again to our caller, Rocky. Check out Pastor Phil and his story. Check him out at bitcointothemoon.com or over at stolenbitcoin.com. And we had the address up here. Here it is one more time. Pastor Phil's donation address. So thanks so much for joining us on Bitcoin Talk Show. It took us a long time to get this one started. But what with the internet going down and then Zoom having trouble using YouTube Live, and then Zoom hid the option to do custom streaming, but then I found it, and then I really wasn't in the mood to do a show, but I did a show anyway. So thanks for joining us on Bitcoin Talk Show. Be sure to check out all the new interviews we've got on the World Crypto Network. We've got quite a few, and be sure if you want to share them, if you're thinking, hey, I want to donate, but I don't have any money, you can always donate your time by sharing links to the show, creating articles about the show, copying it, pasting it onto chat rooms and all kinds of things like that. Because I think there's a lot of people out there that might want to watch this show that don't know about this show. So if you could help them find it, that'd be great. And of course, the simplest way to do that is give us a thumbs up and a share right here on good old YouTube. Be sure to subscribe down below. We'll hopefully be back in a couple of days with the Bitcoin group. I'm supposed to write it today so that people can actually read it in advance and then do a better job responding. And we're going to do that again on Friday. And we're always looking for new guests and new people on the Bitcoin group and the World Crypto Network. And we've got Slack and Telegram and all those things if you guys want to join us. So you be the squeaky wheel if you want to get involved. Thanks to Alice in Wonderland from the opening. Check out the Norton Critical Edition. That's the best one. And until next time, bye-bye. Are you sure you want to end?